you were raised in a cult?
Yeah.
It's kind of a little crazy, right?
Yeah.
Like, do you mind like even talking about
Yeah,
that?
let's go there. I was born inside the cult, and I didn't realize it was a cult. They really controlled what you can and can't read. The only books we're allowed to read were the ones published by the cult.
Ken Okazaki, the man behind the world's most viral video frameworks, who generated over 180 million views for his clients. He escaped a radical cult to become a master of human psychology, and today he reveals the hidden mechanics of influence.
7 years.
No way.
Every time I could do it, I would have carefully crafted seeds of doubt that I would plant. This is the only way that she's going to feel like she decided.
You help people do that with their content. I think that you help do that with their problems.
What I teach them is frameworks, models, and I realized, okay, every one of these videos needs to have a book. We did 180 million views off of the 120. On average, I remember we did more than 1 million views per video. Frameworks are amazing.
But where did the innovation come from?
I had to...
Thank you so much for coming, man. Appreciate it. Couldn't make you drive too far.
No, I actually didn't drive because my wife has the car today. And I was just like, but the trains are awesome in Japan.
It's the only place in the world that I take public transportation. I grew up in Miami. That you do not want to take the bus. Like, you'll get stabbed.
I was in New York once, and there was this event going on, right? And I asked one of my buddies who was there, because I was helping organize the event and stuff. I said, oh, so how do I get to such and such with a train? And he looks at me like,
Are you crazy?
Yeah. I'm just like, what did I say? Because I assume like New York, Tokyo kind of equivalent in a lot of ways.
Equivalent in
some ways.
City style, but
Taking
nothing
the subway
is
is like, yeah, don't.
If Manila and New York, size-wise, creates Tokyo, and then they took all the dirt, all the nastiness, all the lack of people that are kind, right? Like, took all the kindness, and got that to it, then you may get a little bit closer to Tokyo. But it's nothing close. It's crazy. It's my actually favorite city in the world. I would say city-wise, it's Tokyo and then Milan. I love Milan.
I haven't been there yet.
You haven't been to Milan?
No.
You would look good because you always get the style. It goes well. So cool.
Thank you.
Well, first of all, thanks so much. Every time I come to Tokyo, we try to connect. It's always over good food and good conversations. For people that don't know who Ken is, so let's tell that story. Just a little background about you, since you've done a lot of...
Where do I start? I'll start with like kind of recent years. So I started my very first business, I think 2017 or 18 actually. It was 17. I registered at 18. I actually started using it, right? And I started because I have a bunch of kids. I got 6 children.
Yep.
And I realized no way I'm going to get enough, it's hard to find a job that's going to pay enough salary to support 6 kids, especially when they start getting older. And so I thought, well, the only way out is to start my own business. Had no idea what I was doing. I got really inspired by going to a Tony Robbins event once, and that was kind of what was the fuel for that change. It's my first business because I'm kind of a product of the seminar industry.
Yep.
Motivational stuff. I thought, well, I've been to a bunch of these, kind of understand how it works just because, I've been around. So maybe I'll start with that. That was my first business. Started with an absolute disaster. So the way I would do it is I would sell like 2,000 to 8,000 people into a stadium here in Japan or conference hall, whatever, right? Depending on the size. And I'd fill it by hiring like a world famous person.
Yeah, like a Tony Robbins, like those big motivational.
And then I'd sell it off the back of that. And then other people would show up. We'd make money off the back end. But my very first one, I sold out the thing. I was so happy, right? The key speaker was amazing. He just was featured in a Hollywood blockbuster film, which we will not name right now. And he does a no-show.
No way.
To my very first event.
Oh, my
very first business. And so that's the truth about entrepreneurship. Like, if you think you're going to figure everything out and everything's going to go perfect and you start, it's like, no matter how well planned you think you have it, like you don't know what's going to happen. So it's a whole episode we could do on just this guy, absolute scumbag. However, I spent the next 2 years. So instead of like declaring bankruptcy or whatever, I was way too proud to do that, which I absolutely had no money, but I just negotiated with I think we had 2,800 tickets sold. And I just said, guess what? I'm going to do another event, and we could refer you to, you could bump it up to there, or you can get a refund. But if it's a refund, then I'm going to need time.
Sure.
If you need it all right away, I'm bankrupt. Nobody gets paid. So tons of this negotiating. A month later, I did another event. And every time I had a little bit of profit, I'd try to refund a few more people that you could.
Yep.
And through that process, in 2 years, we were running the largest personal development events in Japan. But after I'd finished paying everybody off and almost zero profit to myself after that, I was like, I hate this business. I'm out.
Of course.
But I didn't want to go out until I paid everybody back. And that took 2 years. So that's my introduction to business.
Introduction to entrepreneurship, huh?
Entrepreneurship 101. So now I'm like, everything shitty that happens is just like, well, it's not that bad.
Not that bad, yeah. And we've all been through that. I mean, a lot of people have heard my story of I lost $1 million in one day.
Wow.
That's the luck of one day. And I'd lost the money that I was going to put down for our house as a family. I lost like anything that I thought was an investment that I was going to be pushing towards. And it happened because of 100% somebody else. Like there was the ownership that I'll take on that is the allowing that into my life and not seeing it sooner. What signs, what patterns could I have actually stopped it? But sometimes you have to kind of be like, you know what? This stuff happened that you weren't in control over, but you are in control of how you reacted to it.
Yeah.
And I think what I'm hearing from you is character matters more than and reputation than it does for that just individual moment, because there's a lot of stress that goes into not having the funds to care for your family, and it changes the way that you approach things for sure.
I think that for me, I was like for example, if I walked away and declared bankruptcy, I think the rest of my life just going through Tokyo, I'd just be scared to run into somebody who bought a ticket and I declared it. I mean, I don't think it's that big a deal. Anybody who's been in business will understand. Like
they understand, but then
I wouldn't feel good about myself.
I was going to say that's your character, that's your integrity, because it's when you don't have to put on the mask. It's like, do you want to live a life that you always have to watch your back?
Yeah,
you don't. Yeah. And I think that there's a lot to say about that, and I think that I've been able to interact with you. Everything that you try to do has a lot of values attached to it. Just the meticulous nature of how you approach things. I will tell you as a slight caveat, you do tend to think that certain things are easier than they are because you're so good at them. I remember touching technology with you, and you're like, "Oh, that's child's play. Let me touch this." And I'm like,
"I know, I'm taking that."
And you're like, "Well, how is that hard?" And I'm like, dude, that is really difficult for some people. So sometimes we don't always appreciate how good our skills are and how hard it is for them to transfer to other people. But you definitely have that.
So that was stage one of entrepreneurship. When I pivoted, what I did is the way I would fill the events, and I had to learn from scratch how to, Facebook ad system, Google ads at the time. And I found the most effective way to put, 2,000 to 8,000 people in a room, people paying between $700 for the back row and $7,000 for the front row, was with video ads. So this is early 2000s, 90, it was 2018, 2019. So there was better ROI back then for sure. The ROAS was great, but I got really good at making video ads. And I would consistently fill out these rooms. I wasn't bad at filling them. It's just the first one. The guy didn't show up. So when I got out of that business, I pivoted to being just doing a content creation agency, but specifically around the speakers who I would hire to come to my stage. I called them all up and I'd be like, "Hey, do you remember the last event we did in Japan?" Just oh my God, that was amazing.
It was amazing. Yeah, because you're so good at production.
And then they'd be like, "When are we going to do the next one?" And I said, "Well, here's the thing. I'm not doing that anymore, but I know you do this type of event all over the world. How would you like me to help you start creating the kind of content that's going to bring more people to the events that you do?" Nice. So now the speakers, what I was really offering them, the thing that I think a lot of them connected with was that they have more leverage when negotiating with the event organizers, because they're saying, "I'm guaranteeing this many people to come." So now their fees, boom, they charge more.
If you could fill the room, you're valuable.
Yeah, because most people haven't heard of it. It's unheard of. The organizer fills the room, and then the speaker shows up. And now the speaker's just "Hey, I emailed my list. And I put up a form, and now this many people are coming. And now, organizers are just like, wow. So you just took a lot of work off of them, and you just make them look like rock stars. So I pivoted, and I had a full book of clients just by doing that. And that's how my content creation agency started. So that was pivot number 2. I sold off the other business, and basically for the value of the email list, that's pretty much what it was. There was no cash in it. There was the connections, there was some brand, but mostly I just wanted to do the part I enjoyed most, which was the creative part. So that went on for a couple years, and then COVID hit. And the way I was producing these videos before then was I would fly out and we'd rent a beautiful mansion. I'd get 2 to 3 clients back to back, sometimes 4. And I had a program called 52 and 2, shoot 52 high quality videos in 2 days. And I'd set up like a reality TV show. I'd have local crew come in. We'd have 8 different sets, costume changes, makeup artists, catering.
No way.
And and everything was scripted. There was huge teleprompters, and these guys would show up. They're just like, oh my God, this is amazing. And they start taking photos like, here I am at this professional shoot, right?
Exactly.
And when they'd post online, everybody would be just like, hey, how can I get in on this? And then this term 52 and 2 started going around, and this thing would just keep selling, and I keep getting more clients until I couldn't when COVID hit.
Yeah, it didn't fly in anymore.
Yeah. So we lost a bunch of money there because I'd already booked out locations, bought tickets, paid for all these contractors and everything, some deposits. So I'm just like, damn it, I'm back to square one again, right? Because my whole business model was traveling and direct.
Yeah. And they were very luxurious. I mean, they were super nice. I remember like some of the pictures and just the behind the scenes stuff from both you doing it in the work side, but then also watching some of the people that you built. And it's like, sounds like vacation. That's
I wanted it to feel like a medical tourist type of thing, where you go there for the thing that you don't necessarily want to do, but we make it such a great time.
Because that's the thing, like even on my end, I'm good speaking to camera. God forbid you have me read a teleprompter. Like I just can't do it.
Yeah.
But the last thing I want to do, and it's actually one of the things that I require, is like I book the time to do the shoot, because if I do it in my own studio, if I do it in my house, I won't do it. So we just procrastinate. So I think what's fascinating is like you think about the idea of like, this is painful to the speaker, the author, the coach, and you make it to the point where it's like you went there for this painful thing, but it was an enjoyable experience. What made you think about it from a perspective? Because a lot of times people are looking at like, here's the service I'm selling. It's a productized service, and now I'm just going to deliver it. But the real value is in the hospitality and the other stuff.
Yeah. So the concept came to me because there was this fitness coach who was a friend of mine, and then he was complaining about his clients, and he said to me, he was just, what these guys want is to just like work out really hard for just like one day for the entire year, and then they don't have to do it for the rest of the year.
One salad with a 6-pack, baby.
And then I was thinking to myself, wow, but with video I could actually do that. They work really hard for it. At first I was thinking, one day I was just like, nah, 2 days. Okay. And I was like, there's 52 weeks in a year, 52 and 2, that kind of rolls off your tongue. Nice. So I was just like, if you come and we work really hard together for 2 days, you're going to have an entire year of really great looking content that goes out weekly. And then there was the video, and then the emails that went with it, the everything carousel. And actually, carousels weren't a thing back then. It was more like slides or something, infographics, right? So that's why I came up with it, because this guy just said this thing, and I was just like, I think I could work with that, and it just sold really well. Just the concept I explained it, people were like, wow. Now it would be harder to do, because back then YouTube videos that were like 5 to 10 minutes long, that was the thing.
Yeah.
Now YouTube is high production, 10 minutes. You got to put there's a lot of production at Valley Guys, or there's really short ones.
There's short works really well in YouTube, but it has to be the gateway drug into the 10 to hour minute videos. Yeah. And the thing about those 10-minute videos are actually an hour to 2 hours chopped up into a really structured, like architected story.
It's a different landscape now, but back then, if you could sound intelligent, and then you were the authority on that topic. And because we split up the house into 8 different sets and costume changes, then every week it looked like a different thing.
Yeah, and it also probably felt good to know that as a thought leader, your stuff's going out there and you don't have to worry about that anymore. A lot of times it's like you look at anything in like a work production standpoint, you have uphill work and downhill work. the hard part on content creation is it's constant. It feels like it's always like this. It's like you got to do it and then post and then do it, then post. But if you like build a vault of stuff and then schedule it all out, then your stuff that comes naturally, you feel more inclined to actually post. But a lot of people like they spend so much effort even in the planning phase that they don't actually record.
This is true. The sad thing that's happening now, especially with that, is people who have that, overthinking and planning, they're turning to AI to write everything.
Yeah. And it all sounds the same.
Yeah. It's really crappy. Like it just sounds like a textbook, right? And that's why now I choose to coach people to create content. I can't write scripts for people anymore because I'm not them, right? Like the only stuff that really stands out is something that you can help someone to like really dig deep and find out, okay, what are the real experiences in your life? How do you really feel about this? What are the struggles that you're facing? And if you don't talk about those things and you're talking about things that are facts that can be searched online and verified, then it's no longer going to build a powerful brand. It's just going to be saying what everybody else is saying, and it doesn't stand out. So that's the sad thing about people who struggle with content creation, and they just look for the shortcut. It just doesn't land.
Well, I think that in general, it will work. It will work in the short term, but it's not a long-term business.
Well, there's two ways to do it, right? I know people who are making millions of dollars and getting tens of millions of impressions every week or month maybe off of their content. And if you push it all the way to where you are producing like 15 to 20 unique posts per day, and you're using the AI twin method where you don't even have to record it. And then I'm not kidding. So, and basically you have, a very complex bot. It's going to go out and research on Reddit, YouTube comments. It's going to research Instagram comments, everything that's trending. And then anything that fits within, like, let's just say your niche is the Olympics, right? So any news about the Olympics, give it like a sensational headline, give it a few news clip. Yeah, your take. And then automatically add B-roll over it. Like if you could do that in huge quantities and you can still be successful, but that's more of a volume game. Like you're going to become the Walmart of information.
Sure.
You're not going to.
It's a news game, and if you're using that for relevant news, that makes sense. I also find that like in my perspective, I kind of want my opinions to come from me.
Yep.
I don't want my opinions to come from something else. I think that in general, humans are very easily persuaded, and I think they're always easily.
So do you kind of guard your like social media diet?
Yeah, I mean, probably not, because all my friends send me memes and stuff, so it's pretty bad. But in regarding what I produce, like if I have an opinion on something I want to talk about, for instance, like I don't talk politics. I'll talk global politics, like when I'm here in Japan, because it's interesting to see the perspective of the world, is particularly in the U.S. market. But in the U.S., I don't, and it's not that it's just growing up in a political household that it was a really big deal from a value standpoint. I thought I would maybe even venture into politics one day, but I watched it tear so many people apart that I don't find a lot of value in it. And yet when I go international, it's almost like a very interesting conversation, but it's less emotionally sensitive. Imagine if I would allow the AI bot to take my personal values and views and it says something that is not aligned with what my actual viewpoints are. I would guardrail that as much as I could. Like, I think that I don't know if I'm capable of safeguarding the AI from an opinion that I may or may not accept. And that worries me. So I probably wouldn't use the Onik Segal method, who Onik is local to me. He's right down the street from me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he lives in Maryland, right down the street.
Yeah, he's got his AI twin going and he's selling that service.
So he's great at it. But in a marketing world where he's like that, I think he's good enough to create his safeguards without it being kind of.
He picked his lane. He talks about one thing.
I don't know if I could do that. I mean, my life is, yes, it's the Olympics, but I'm running a global agency working with small businesses. I'm helping personal brands that are driving the market. My opinions kind of matter to me. I also think about it like out of respect to my parents and the people that I work with. Imagine if I was saying something like, oh, this is how you need to operate in business. And then my staff looks at that and goes, he's nothing like that. I'm not like,
I've heard that
I
so
tell
many
people, I
times.
tell people all the time, like, guys, if you see a post about me, like for instance, one of the first, I have like a 23-point principles of how to win with Coach Cav. And I give it to my leaders. And the first one is be on time all the time and expect me to be late.
Okay.
And everyone's like, well, that doesn't, I said, my life, I travel all the way around the world. I've been to 3 different countries in the last 3 weeks. And there's a strong chance that one of those meetings are going to overlap. I also believe that I live where my feet are. So if there's a meeting that is taking 5 minutes longer because that person's divulging something that it was really emotionally sensitive and they want to get into something deeper, I want to respect that person's time. And I can't always do that within my schedule because I do pack 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag. However, you start the meeting. It is my job to catch myself up. I don't need to, when I come into the meeting, you say, hey, just because you missed it, let me update you. Like, no, if I do that, now I'm disrespecting you. But if you know the lay of the land is you're prepared and I'm prepared, I show up a few minutes behind.
Yeah.
If I can't catch myself up, then I shouldn't ever be allowed to be late.
Yeah.
But if I'm good enough to catch myself up, then I'm good. But my schedule is pretty packed. So I set that tone from the beginning. And imagine if I was having an AI clone that was producing content that was talking about the values of mid-management and how you actually have to show up for a meeting because that's attached to my values as respecting other people's time. Imagine if I did that and then my staff would look at it and go, that's not how he operates. I'd be losing trust every day.
You'd approve the scripts before it goes to production, right?
Yeah. I don't know if I would do that. I think it requires me to read.
Something that works well for me when I create content now is I've created an AI agent that interviews me for each piece of content. So like sometimes it's going to interview me and then I'm just going to have this idea and then I'm going to say, okay, great, you're done. And I will type it up myself. Sometimes it'll keep interviewing me and then it'll force me to dig deeper and say, is that really true? And this person is sometimes not my friend because they are mean, but they won't let me go until they feel like I've actually said something real, something that's unique.
Oh, that's good. That's valuable.
And that's the AI agent that I use when I write. So, and my emails, like I don't have a huge list. We have like 10,000 people, 10,000-ish, but the open rate is about 56%. And I email 3 times a week.
Wow.
So like people, they read it and that's valuable. And and then I use the emails, like the ones that actually I feel they did well. Then I turn that into a short form script and shoot the short form video.
Yeah, I mean, we can go deep into kind of the agency space and where you are, but I'd like to, I mean, you're really good at communicating in writing. You're good at articulating yourself. I kind of always laugh knowing kind of where your voice came from because you do, as somebody here in Japan, you have an incredible American accent. So where does this amazing voice come from?
All right. So I'm born and raised in Japan. Never lived in the US. Longest I've ever, or Canada for that matter, or Australia. I've lived here for, like everything, all my education was here. But my parents sent me to international school, I think age 7 or 8, something like that. And I picked up English as a second language, but I had a pretty strong accent. Like a regular Japanese
like
person.
Most people would though.
Yeah.
Like people, I mean, it's a strong accent, but it is more common for people here to not speak English.
Yeah.
Number one. And it's more common that anybody that does have that will have a strong Japanese accent.
Yeah. And I remember I started traveling internationally. Like I told you, I went to a Tony Robbins event and people would kind of look at me funny and they're just like, where are you from again? And it annoyed the heck out of me because I knew I was intelligent, but then people are having a hard time, like they're distracted by like, where is he from and things like that, rather than like actually listening to me. And that bothered me a bit. So while I was in this program called Platinum Partners for Tony Robbins, I met somebody and they're just like, you know what, there's this thing called the Hollywood accent. I'm like, what's that? They're like, well, and then they explained it a bit. And just in case listeners don't know what it is an artificial construct. There was a long study made and they took different dialects of the English language, different accents, not dialects, like from all over the US. Mm-hmm. And they took it around the world and they played these voice clips faster and faster and faster until people couldn't understand it. And the reason they did this was to research what is the most universally understandable form of the English language. And what they came up with was something that's about 60% SoCal, 40% Canadian. And they created this new accent. And then they codified it and they started training Hollywood actors. And I was like, where do I find someone like this? And so they referred me to somebody. Actually, no, I did my own research.
It's like a voice coach, right?
voice
For language, yeah.
But she was an acting coach. And we were on Skype, and basically she would coach me on the voice. She would have me listen to my own voice over and over and compare it to the model voice. And the acting coach taught me how to speak like an American. Now it's hard for me to go back, but it comes naturally because even though I live in Japan, my clients are not in Japan. My team is not.
They're all over the world.
Like, you know how you said I am where my feet are. I am where my Zoom is.
That makes sense.
Because I work with Australians, Canadians, US, wherever they are.
Yeah. Now you've been the man behind a lot of big brands. Some of them I know.
That might be exaggerated. I don't know.
I don't think so. I think that you've been, I think we could honestly look at kind of like some of the work that, you've done with Taki Moore and Dan Martell, like a lot of the people that you've been a part of. And again, no matter if it's like the person that's still doing it now versus at some point you've had your hand into getting them over the hump of content. And I think that there's a lot of, I think the thing to look at is not so much like, what did you do for them? Because a lot of people could look at the model and go, here's the kind of gateway drug. This is what the new thing that we did. My friend Ryan is the guy who literally built Hermosi's organic content when Alex didn't believe in any organic content. He was all paid. And then Ryan got him over that because of the idea of like, you're a paid conversion guy. You got to create some sort of connection with people.
Yeah.
And that's where like Chipotle comes from and all these other things. But it's not so much that it was that nuance to here's how you do it. What I'm interested in is how did you build the trust with some of these people? Because you weren't right next to them all the time. And being somebody that's not in their backyard, a lot of the people that you worked with over the years, you were one of their first people that really fixed their content. And those people are very hesitant to hire. So what do you think it is about you that allowed them to feel confident saying, okay, if I hire Ken, we're not going to be running into this guy at the last minute. It's going to not show up for his live event. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good point. So first of all, let me clear something up. Dan Martell was never my client.
Okay.
Taki Moore was.
Okay. Yeah.
Dan and I are in the same business
I just
community.
through the interactions. I apologize.
Yeah. No, we're in the same community. I just don't want to misrepresent anything, especially.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. Yeah.
So the thing that my clients have told me over and over is that the way I connect with them and explain things in a systemized, repeatable process is what they love. A lot of people show up and they just want to amp up your energy, or they, do random hooks and things like that. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that's good, but it's not sustainable. So what they've done is, what I teach them is frameworks and models. And I'll give you an example. Like the most easy framework I'll go back to someone named Peng Jun. He's probably like the biggest internet personality in all of Malaysia.
Yeah, I know.
And so he was one of my early clients. And
no way.
Yeah.
He's
like before he went viral.
I was going to say, he's massive.
And the thing is that, so we started doing some shoots together, and he was going hard on Facebook videos when Facebook videos was really blowing up. And he wanted to shoot 120 videos in 3 days. No, 4 days. So that's 30 videos per day.
Yeah, we wanted to do the 52 and 2 and 2.
Yeah, this is before 52.
Yeah, he wanted to double it.
Yeah. So day one was okay. So I researched a whole bunch of questions about the niche, and I would pitch the questions, and he would respond. I guess I never showed up as a videographer. I was always the director. I was the person getting the people to say and act the way I needed them to. So day one, we worked super hard. We hit our 30 videos. Boom. But day two, we started, and it was a disaster. Like his brain was fried.
Energy's done. Yeah, you just
and
cooked.
I'm frustrated because
you're not getting.
He doesn't like my questions anymore, and like everything was off. So then we'll take a break, and I started realizing, okay, I'm asking him a question, he's answering, and he's got to work so hard to think of a new way to answer this same question and use a story, a new twist. And he was burning so many calories up here in his brain that he wasn't able to sustain. So I sat down and I just scribbled something down because I looked at the previous things that he answered. And I realized, okay, every one of these videos needs to have a book. We need like a 2-second introduction. Nowadays, I say skip that, but at the time it was important. We need like a transition, and I called it lead. So we want to lead people into the main point you're going to make. And then we got to deliver something of value, a payoff. And then at the end, ask them to do something like share, comment, whatever. And when I mapped out these 5 steps, and it turned out to spell Hilda.
Yeah, which became like a viral sensation for content creation. Yeah.
And then everything became easy. I'm just like, okay, I would say, here's my idea for the hood. What do you think? He was like, great. So I'd say it, he'd repeat it. Okay. And then his introduction, he said that a zillion times. That's fine. All right. So I said, now here's the point we're going to make. What's a story, an illustration, a background, like that's going to lead into that. Boom, he got it. And then we just follow that pattern over and over and over. We hit 120 videos. One of the videos got 14 million organic views. I think we did like 180 million views off of the 120 videos. So it's like, on average, I remember we did more than a million views per video. So like, and then I was hooked. I'm just like, frameworks are amazing. Like,
I live in frameworks. I mean, as you know, like my relationship with like Simon Bowen, like I live in models and frameworks, so that makes sense.
So now, like, I've got frameworks for everything. Like how to frame your camera. It's called Chiefs. I don't have time to teach all this right now, but
oh, come on, give me the good stuff. You just you had to set up our own cameras.
Okay, Chiefs is this especially when you're doing.
For those that don't know, I'm like tech special. So
okay, think about this. C is for chin. Chin should be exactly in the center of the frame. So, and this is especially for short form content. Generally, it'll work across. Chi, so chin in the center. Okay. So just look at your screen, draw a line in the middle. Your chin sits there, right? H is for hand on head. Put your hand over your head. You need at least that much space between the top of your head and the top of the frame, right? I, the camera should be at eye level. Now, this is a little bit lower. That's fine because this is an interview format. But typically, the camera should be up exactly at your eye level.
I want the Tokyo skyline, man. I got to get the good look.
Yeah. E, elbows need to be in the frame. So that means that you can't be so smushed up to the camera like another Zoom meeting. You want to go back far enough so that you can communicate with your hands. F, face should be equidistant left and right. Don't stick yourself on one side or the other of the frame. This is an exception. It's a podcast. It's different, right? S is chapa hands. So you'll notice right here, go like this with your hand. This distance from here to here is scientifically proven to be the ideal distance from your lips to the microphone.
Oh, you should have told me that to me before.
Yeah. That's not bad. Shaka, right?
I got it.
Sometimes you put up on the cap. You could do that.
Yeah, that's what I do.
You got a podcaster mic. That's the distance. Some people don't want it in the frame. The sound quality just drops. So, for example, that's a framework. So every single time the client sends me a video, I'm like, did you follow the Chiefs framework? They're just like, oh, shoot. Yeah, I'm off to the side, And like, it's just like...
I think frameworks create guardrails for people. I mean, it gives them guidance, but it also, exactly.
And it's got to be something that's pronounceable and memorable. Otherwise, it's useless. It's just like memorizing a bullet list.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. You have to put enough care and thought into it that, like, is someone going to remember this easily? And that's why I work so hard. Like Hilda, it sounds like, a Scandinavian woman's name, right? Like Brunhilde, right?
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, that's great. And Chiefs, and I could go on and on, but the frameworks are what the clients appreciate. They're just like, this is somebody who's actually done enough of these shoots to be able to recognize the patterns, create a framework to shortcut all these things that could, are hard to remember or that a new person would not know.
Well, I look at everything as you're trying to reduce friction, both from the end user, as far as you interviewing somebody to try to create a product or try to create, a value to them because of your job. But then also you're trying to make sure that they're communicating to the camera with removing friction to the audience. So that's really important.
Yeah.
But I realized when you were saying, when you're bringing up Hilda, it just like, I kind of forgot, but every single person has referenced Hilda, that you start to associate Hilda with you. And you go, oh my God, well, he's obviously had his hand in that. But there's so many people that have used that framework globally that probably haven't even interacted with you, that's changed their business. So there's so many of those frameworks, I think, that they will pass the test of time because, you were doing research and asking questions before AI was able to just populate, 100 different ideas. So same thing, those frameworks, I think, will pass the test of time, and the tools just enhance them. The tools just collapse time, which I think is really valuable.
Yeah.
Cool. What you go from?
I do remember one client came to me and we were working together and he goes, I want to try this thing I just learned.
No way.
I was like, what is it? And I said, I heard this thing called Hilda. Do you know it? I'm just like, and I felt so good and a little offended at the same time.
I bet.
But like it was both.
I think what you should have proposed it and said, listen, I really want to use these frameworks. I think that this is great, but we have to pay a licensing fee to the creators. So can you do me a favor? We got to pay a royalty if we get a shoot, and then you get to double down. That's what you should do.
Okay. Yeah.
But you move from, so I think it's fascinating because you move from this, failed business, which I truly believe rate of failure will dictate future success. And the coaching side, you look at the Olympic side, you look at the pro work that I do. Everyone asks me like, how are you such a good coach? Because when they watch me coach, they know I'm good. I know I'm good. The results speak for themselves. On the business side, like where I am on the coaching world versus where I'm in the business world, night and day, because I'm a baby over here. And in reality, it's that I'm willing to fail when no one's watching. So when the lights are on, I'm good. And there's no question. I fail more than any other coach in the world with my athletes so that I don't gamble with the athlete's career. Most coaches are gambling with the athlete's career because they're working with them when it matters without actually having some data to back it up. I always do that work before I show up, so I'm not wasting that athlete's time. And I think in business, it's the same thing. You talked about your first experience being a failure, but it really was probably what set you up to the next thing, taking something as an amazing production, building a great relationship with the right people, which is the speakers, when you're probably trying to sell on stage the back end, right? Which is the typical live event model, which works really well. But you realize that you're actually selling on stage for a production value to the people that were on stage. Yeah. And that able to probably parlay into your next business, which is what that turned into. And you kind of always have these iterations. Part of that is also your innovative brain. I am a proud owner of one of your innovations, at the Go Box. Yeah. And it was because tech doesn't work for me, right? Everything I touch, it's going to break. And you are like, oh, get out of the way. Don't touch stuff. Can you spend 2 minutes and open a box and press a button? I said, probably. I'll probably screw it up, but probably. And I still think of like, this thing is so fascinating because it works. I could travel with it. It's a carry-on. But where did the innovation come from? Because I think that I'm starting to see this pattern with you with innovation within your business. Where's the innovation come from?
COVID.
Did it?
Yeah. So I used to travel around and shoot videos for my clients, right? Mm-hmm. So then when COVID hit, I had to train them how to set up their home studio so they could shoot the videos.
Absolute bane of my existence.
And then they'd send it to us and we'd start editing it, right? So I'm trying to rescue my business here. And I made all these tutorials and I'm on constant Zoom calls helping them to set this up. And I realized this is a futile attempt. Like this is never going to happen.
Oh man.
And then one guy who asked not to be named because, he's very protective about his brand.
Sure.
He called me up and he's just like, can you just set everything up like in a box? When I pop it open, then everything's everything's hooked up. Mm-hmm. I was just like, no, we have an agency here, not a, hardware innovation business. But that seed was planted in my mind. And you could bet like I'm sleeping at night and I literally dream about this. Like, okay, how we got that? I'm literally, my dreams are, how do I do this? And so one weekend I head out to the hardware shop and I pull, some pieces of aluminum, I don't know what I'm doing. Just pull a bunch of stuff off the shelf, take it home, get a hacksaw and a drill, and I start jamming stuff together. And then I come up with something. I'm like, this might actually work. I take a photo, short video, send it to the guy, and he's just, guys, that's amazing. Can you get me one? I'm just like, sure, And he goes, how much? And I said, so I probably put like $200 or $300 of work into this. And then so I was just like, 10,000. He's like,
cost
done. Yeah. I'm just like, great.
Oh shit. Yeah.
But then I couldn't get it shipped to him. There was some complications with, so I just hired a local hardware, like an engineer type of guy in the US. I showed him the pictures, I gave him the instructions, he put it together. And so this guy, he loves it. He starts using it, he takes a photo, puts it on Instagram. This thing gets like something like 80,000 views in one day, and then like 2,000 comments, and more than half.
Where can I get one? Where can I get one? Yeah.
Zach calls me up, and he says, Ken, this thing has a ton of potential. I'm like, yeah, I know, but I just did a one-off.
And you're building another business right now.
Yeah. And then he goes, but He goes, what if, he goes, I think this has a lot more potential than your little agency thing. And
a little
he said,
agency.
And I was just like,
That's a little good punch.
Yeah. And I was just like, another seed planted. So while I'm running my agency, off to the side, I start researching on Alibaba. I taught myself, like, I understood 3D modeling and animation because I used to play with that when I was a kid. But doing real hardware was a completely different story. Understanding what types of materials, what types of steel was used. And I actually just learned so much about engineering, just self-taught by YouTube videos and learning the software. And I designed something that I believed I could make, that I could do a small batch of. So I ordered, the number was 17 different factories in China, had to make all these different parts, and I had them all shipped to Japan. Very, very inefficient. And then I hired a buddy of mine to help me assemble these and then ship them to different parts of the world. But I wasn't looking to make a bunch of money. I was looking for a proof of concept. So I took a prototype. I took 3 of them. And by this point, I've probably sunk $200,000 into this project.
Wow.
And now I got 100. I ordered 100 of everything,
Yeah, you got to build enough units.
So then what happened was, then I had to ask myself, okay, is this a hobby or is this a business? I wasn't sure. So I took it to Traffic and Conversions Summit.
You were right across from my booth, I remember.
Yeah. And my goal was just to find out, is there a market for this? At that event, which was a 2-day or 3-day, I can't remember, we did $270,000.
Yeah.
Sold 27 units, people on the spot, and then a whole bunch of interest. So I thought to myself, okay, I'm out of the red now, and the rest will be pure profit. So I think we have a business potential. Yeah. So while the rest of them just organically, they all sold. We did $1 million plus on that. Not 2 million, just a little over $1 million. I used all that money to develop something that we can mass manufacture. That one place in China can actually produce these at a mass rate. I could bring the costs way down, but also I had to make a lot of changes because I had U.S. military interests now.
Yeah.
And they have very high specifications. So I'm there putting all the money and some back into R&D, and I had to learn at a whole different level because when you're doing 10,000 units a month and stuff, it's
one little mistake.
It's a totally different story. And then I have to think about customer support at scale. I have to think about returns, guarantees, safety issues, and then people started noticing me. So I started getting lawsuits,
Oh, wow.
Like, not serious ones. It was more like copyright infringement and stuff. I had to spend a whole bunch of money on patents.
Yeah.
So
I think the details in there are pretty amazing. Being someone who's seen it, and I've also seen it evolve. Like, I don't have the latest one. I think the latest one, which is like the foam slots that come out instead of like the pre-cuts, that's a pretty cool.
There's a lot that's changed, but the goal was to make it so that a lot more people can afford it, and that it's way more versatile. It can be a podcast thing. It can be a multicam. It can be a stage presentation.
Yeah, it's cool.
So, long story short, I've pretty much used up all the cash that I've got, and I'm at the stage where we've got to launch this thing, and I either need to go borrow money or I need to launch a Kickstarter campaign to raise funds for this. And I'm exhausted by this point because my other business, because I'm distracted, it's not doing well.
The little agency that you have.
Yeah, it's not doing well.
The gut punch. Yeah.
So I had to get real with myself, and like, as an entrepreneur, it's not easy to admit this, but I was facing depression too. There's some things that happened in my life that caused me to just like lose the will to do anything. And I was under depression. I was burned out in so many different ways. I was trying to do so much. And I realized, so I had to get real with myself. Like, either I need to just shut this whole project down, just call it a loss, and then focus on my agency to get it back up. Or I need to find someone to buy this, or I need to hire someone that could just
you're on it and take it. Yeah.
And so I counseled with some other entrepreneur friends of mine. And then one of them said, you should probably sell it. Yeah. I was like, why would anyone want to buy it? It hasn't made any money. Like, this is version 2.
It's a great a top of funnel qualifier.
Yeah.
It's also the biggest limiting factor for professionals to be able to record.
Yeah.
So for me, my biggest hang up, as you know, is this setup time. It's like I want to do this stuff. I travel all around the world, and I get to see my friends, but I also meet some amazing people. There's a strength and conditioning event, National Strength and Conditioning Association in Japan has got their conference, and two of my friends, Dr. Brian Mann, are speaking at that event. I'm going to go meet up with them, tomorrow. I met with someone yesterday, and what am I going to do? I can't record. And then also, I found you a long time ago, but where I was fascinated with you. I don't even know if you know. Do you know what the one that was like, I got to get to know this guy? Do you know what it was?
No idea.
Mind you, I'm a student of Simon Bowen.
Yeah.
I write models for 10 years. That's my wheelhouse, right? That's how I demonstrate everything. The green screen.
Oh.
That was the first, okay.
We can draw on the video itself.
Yeah, because you were.
I invented that. I literally.
That was I was like, all right, I got to get to know this person. So then we had always chatted on Facebook over the years, and it was funny. And then you were right in front of me. All right. You were right in front of me at Traffic and Conversion. That was the first time we actually met in person. Yeah. And I spoke on stage there. It was pretty cool. It's a great event.
Sorry I couldn't make it to your talk. I was at my booth.
I was pretty disappointed. I crushed that talk too. The fire marshal had to kick everybody out because we packed the house.
Wow.
Should have paid him off. That's what we always do. But
I just want to check and make sure these are.
Oh, we're live.
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah, we're live. You look good too.
Yeah. Well, sometimes they shut down for whatever reason.
Yeah, you look good. I'm going to turn this. Actually, no, I should.
I thought you wanted the view.
You did. You're right. You're right. We'll edit it.
So the thing about that tutorial, right? And here's the thing. A lot of people, my contemporaries, people like you, they tell me I should be making a lot more money. And for example, I just figured this thing out, how to draw on your iPad and on the, simultaneously on the video.
Yeah.
And I just made a tutorial for free. I put it out there. And then every other really famous person
remade it.
They made things. Yeah.
Well, they would sell them. There was. I downloaded a lead magnet from somebody, and the lead magnet was exactly your step-by-step thing, and I was laughing my ass off.
And then I was wondering, I was second guessing myself. I'm like, maybe I didn't invent it, maybe so. But then I searched, and nobody had ever done that before me.
I've been doing that forever, and I've never had anybody be able to do it the way you did it. So we've been trying to work on that.
Yeah.
And the only way our team was able to do it is me draw it. They then take it, post-production, edit it.
Not live.
No, not live. We would take it, post-production, edit. I would give it to Neil, and Neil would literally be like, all right, cool, I got to take it out of this layer. I got to put it in this layer. And then post-production, he would have it as a slide, and it would be a video that he would post-produce. And we had tried every single thing. And then you were the only person that was able to do it live, and it's magic on a screen.
I haven't done that in a while. I should bring that back.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the kind of stuff I tinker with stuff, and I figure some stuff out. But other people try to sell it. I don't know. Maybe I need someone like you to remind me, hey, you should sell that or something.
I don't know. I mean, I think that there's a lot.
Take away from the fun I have.
I've always found there's a couple things, right? I have no problem sharing these publicly because I think it's important. One of the reasons why I started the podcast is because I lost a few friends that meant a lot to me, that I had spent time with, had great conversations with, and we've never recorded one of those moments. So the reason why I actually finally pulled the trigger and did the podcast, I had Judd Logan, who was a multiple-time Olympian as an athlete himself, became a coach. We'd have great conversations kind of in the training environment, but never formally. Steve Sims was my bourbon drinking buddy, but he was a West Coast guy, and had an interesting conversation. We'd always talk. He'd actually had me. He's like, "Hey, can you help me get on stages?" I'll never. We were in LA at Pear's house. He's like, "Can you help me get on stages?" He's like, "Dude, how are you not on stages? You could rock a stage." He's like, I just never been on a big stage. And I'm like, "Oh, we could build this whole thing out." And then he's teaching people to do it before he passed. And I remember I introduced Steve to a whole bunch of people to get him on their podcast.
Yeah.
And I'm like, guys, he is literally one of the most interesting people. You're going to have a blast, have a great time talking. And I never had him on my podcast, and he passed away before that happened. I'm like, I got to start hitting record. I got to get over myself because it's bigger than me. And I set that up because, spending time with you, I spend time with your wife a little bit at dinner, and it's like there's this level of character of how you operate that really means a lot. And you've interacted with people that I can't stand, and there's people in which probably can't stand me, but the way that you show up to me is a level of integrity that is just, it's the right way. And I tell people all the time, like, my life's mission is to kind of live a higher purpose, but do it the right way. Like, I believe you could win by just reverse engineering the process, knowing the landscape of the actual field of play, and then the rules of the game, and then it's just game theory.
Yeah.
It's who has the advantage. But if you want to stay at the top, you got to win the right way, and your integrity and your character does that. Every interaction I've had with you, maybe it doesn't go as far as like being able to make more money from things, but it will always have repeatable business because of the character and the values that are involved. And that's from somebody who doesn't spend a lot of time with you. That's from interactions over a lot of years, but in these moments that are like kind of critical in my mind, like, what are they really like? Because you could fake it for a weekend. Like, you could get on stage and crush a talk. You could get to a 2-day retreat and do a really good job. But what is your life like over the course of like decades? And I mean, some of my mentors coached me in high school, and some of them now I work with their kids. And do you think that they would let me come, within the same room of them if I didn't actually operate a certain way? No way. It's the same reason why we talk about like the AI, like those lessons to your team. It's not just the message that you're sending out there. It's the message attached to your brand. And I got to tell you publicly, that's how I think you show up, whether you see it or not. But that's one of the reasons why I always try to force my way into that environment if you're involved in something.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for that.
No, it's truthful. And I think it's kind of crazy that you don't have the influence that you have, the power of that influence, knowing kind of how you were raised. So I think probably one of the most interesting things about you is not the Hollywood voice. It's not the fact that you were behind the scenes of a lot of these people, but the fact that like you were raised in a cult.
Yeah.
It's kind of a little crazy, right?
Yeah.
Like, do you mind like even talking about that?
Yeah, let's go there.
Yeah.
So this is something I didn't like talk about publicly at all until maybe 2 years ago. And
I didn't know it until your wife said it. Because I'm like, I thought you were, talk about another public thing that I'll say. I thought you were lying to me. And then I had to check myself and go, wait a second, Ken doesn't lie. Do you mean like, people like, oh, he's full of it, right?
There are those people.
But people, like, they're just like kind of full of it. I talk a lot of shit. I exaggerate. That's it. But like, everyone knows you're not full of it. In your situation, when you said that to me, I'm like, he's lying. And I kind of checked myself. I'm like, wait a second. He just doesn't lie. You're a type of guy that's always been pretty stand up. So your wife was like, oh yeah. And then we had the whole conversation, and my brain was like, why are we not recording this right now? Like this is Hollywood content, not Hollywood voice. So go into that story.
So yeah, I don't know. Like, if you look up Children of God online, Children of God cult, like that was a big thing in the US. And a lot of people don't know they actually spread all over the world. I think they probably started out with good intentions, but things got really weird at some point. So when my parents, they met, and I was born inside the cult, and I didn't realize it was a cult. It's just
I didn't realize that I grew up in a certain area because it's home.
It's just everything I knew. But then there was like, I grew up believing that Jesus is gonna come through. Is gonna come zap the earth with a bunch of fire, kill everybody except for us. Right? And even if we die,
Revelations. Yeah.
There was a lot of very weird beliefs around sexuality, like really messed up, and a lot of practices that I didn't know were wrong, but that I was seeing all the time.
They were culturally normal because it was how you were raised.
Yeah. So I think that the first time I remember things like not really clicking was when the internet was invented. And I was just like, wait a sec, this is like, because one of the ways that they worked was that they really controlled what you can and can't read, what you can and can't watch. Like live TV was out, like movies, they had to be screened before we're allowed to watch them.
Wow.
Books, like the only books we're allowed to read were the ones published by the cult. So everything was very, very locked down, and that's how they controlled the,
curating your entire life.
Members, right? So that's really all I knew. And one of the beliefs that was instilled in me from a young age was, about poverty, right? Like to be rich is evil.
Oh yeah.
And
That's the problem.
I still have baggage in my mind, about that. That might be something I still want to work on, figuring out how to free myself for some of these things that were from such a young age instilled in me. But so the story goes that around 1995, I'm 15 years old. This is when I start figuring out that, okay, there's something weird going on. I don't know what it is. And by the time I'm 17, I'm just like, okay, I need to get out of here. And I start making my plan. And there was no walls, there's no rules. Like the only control they had was through fear and the beliefs. Like anybody could walk out if they wanted to, but then
Why did you?
because I believed that God was going to strike me down, punish me, and even though logically it didn't make sense, I still had I guess what I would call like not my conscious brain, my subconscious was still a much stronger hold. So I'm trying to figure out how to get out. I don't know how to make money outside of, like inside the cult, nobody made money. What we did was literally I don't know how we support ourselves. I don't know where the money came from. It came from somewhere. I don't know. But to have our own money was a no-no. Like it was all like belonged to the cult. And
Sure. Very socialist structure.
very socialist.
Yeah.
So right when I was deciding to leave, I met my wife. She was also a member, and we met in the cult. And when I talked to her about, hey, I want to leave, she was like, no, like, what are you talking about? Like, she was a true believer.
Yeah.
She wasn't going to leave for any reason. So I thought, okay, really, really tough choice here. She went through some really rough stuff too, but we had a kid together. I'm just like, okay, so now I'm in the long game, right? I either abandoned my kid and Natasha, who wasn't my wife yet at the time, when the first kid was born. So either I abandon them and go do what I believe is truth, or I figure out a way that we could all leave together. And I'll tell you what, it took 7 years.
No way.
Before she was convinced. Wow. So my job for 7 years, well, I didn't know it was going to be 7 years, but every time I could do it, I would very carefully, I would have carefully crafted seeds of doubt that I would plant. Like, I'm serious. I was like, this is the only way.
I'm only laughing at it now because everything's worked out.
But it was covert seeds of doubt. Like I would be engineering ways. I'm like, okay, this doesn't make sense, but I can't come at it like this. I'm going to leave this article printed out as if I had nothing to do with it, see if she sees that, I'm going to gift her this thing, I'm going to say, what do you think about that? Like, and that's all I was doing, was trying to plant enough seeds of doubt where there will be too much evidence that she's going to feel like she decided, you know what, this doesn't make sense. We need to leave. And so we left together after 7 years. And now she's completely on my side, and I'm really glad. But they had such a strong hold on people who wanted to, like, who had a strong sense of justice, not justice, strong sense of morals. Mm-hmm. And they really played on that and made you believe you were doing the right thing. Yeah, conviction.
Yeah, it's conviction on it.
My conviction was really strong until it collided with reality. And then, like, the reality part of my brain overrode the
well, so what happens is, like, you have the subconscious, and not trying to get into it because I think there's a lot of theories behind things, but when you're going into deep work, you have to shift your nervous system because your nervous system stops you from action. Because what happens is fear is what will stop your nervous system. It's the difference between fight or flight, but in reality, there's the moment of freeze. And freeze is that actual fear-based moment, and that's what anxiety sits in. So your nervous system has to kind of get shocked to get out. So normally it's one of those like physical wake-up calls, emotional wake-up calls, and people will say sometimes it's a spiritual wake-up call, but it's normally something that's like, wait a second. It's like, once you ring a bell, you can't unring it.
Yeah.
Because if you hear it, you can't ever wait a second, it's there. And that takes a lot. So there's some deep work that's normally done before there's actually those unlocking moments, because there's times where people will hear a bell go like this, and then they'll be like, I don't hear anything. And it's because they haven't done the work beforehand. So the fact that you've ever done that, there was work that was done that maybe you weren't aware of.
Yeah, possible.
And maybe those seeds of doubt that you were planting is like Dennis Waitley's seeds of greatness you were planting into your wife nicely, because I think it's created a life for you today that, I mean, could you imagine what would happen if you had 7 kids in that environment, 6 kids in that environment? For like that's the responsibility that you have today because of that in the future, I think is very admirable. So for that, I appreciate you sharing the story, only because yes, it's an incredible story, but more so because I think that people are trapped in something.
Yeah.
And as an entrepreneur or as a creator, you're trapped in something.
Yeah.
And the first thing you need to do is realize that you're trapped inside of a wall that is not built from reality, and you got to figure out a way to get out. And I think that you help people do that with their content. I think that you help do that with their problems. And obviously, I think that you do that for your family. So I want to thank you for your time. I want to thank you for sharing that stuff with me. For those that want to kind of get to know you more and dive deeper, what is it that you're into now? Because you always have these next steps. What are you doing?
Yeah. So, I think we touched on GoBox recently, right?
Yeah.
So that business was sold, and somebody else bought it. They're able to take it a lot further because they have much more capital resources.
I saw Philippe got one.
Yeah.
Inside
you know
show.
Philippe?
Yeah, and I was in his cohort with Taki.
Yeah,
I was in it early. So when
so he's going to be one of our ambassadors.
Yeah, so when he did that, so it's like I'm in the same group at the same time with Taki. Wait a second, I know Taki. Taki's better technology than me, but we're kind of similar in like we will break shit. So hang on, if he could do it, I could do it. So we're in this thing cohort together, and then Taki gets his stuff set up. It works perfectly. Then you find out, well, Taki does Taki things by saying, Philippe, you got in here and fix it. Or I couldn't do that. But yeah, so I just spoke with him. But I saw that he got the new one, and it looks really, really cool.
Yeah.
I think it's really neat to see people that are kind of at different levels bring it together. So I'm interested to see where it will go with it.
Yeah. So we have several people like Philippe who have early prototypes, and they're right now at the phase of using it, taking it through its paces, giving us feedback before we go into the mass production. So when I say we, right now I'm still involved with this project in terms of helping with the engineering, connections with people like you, people who I know.
Yeah.
But the business itself is owned by a British entity.
Nice.
So what that's done is it's taken a lot of burden off of me of how am I going to take this thing to market, I don't have the experience of doing that, and it was just taking over so much. So now my headspace is much more cleared up, and I realized that the part of the business I love the most is the part that's not scalable. It's actually coaching people.
Oh, yeah.
So it's scalable. It's not infinitely scalable like a software or like a hardware thing. This is me actually coaching people, but it's how I get better at what I do is by constantly helping people get over hurdles with their content creation. So for me, it's right now I've got something called Video Marketing Machine. I believe that if you build this machine that is going to constantly bring you prospects into your social media, you don't need complex stuff like GHL and ClickFunnels and stuff. They do a good job of simplifying it, but even without that, just off of your Instagram, off of your TikTok, off of your YouTube, you should be getting leads every day.
Yeah.
And this should be a process and a psychology shift that you can take people through just the public content you put out. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I service professionals, coaches. Those are the people I help.
Yeah.
That's what I'm excited about.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, it's our wheelhouse, man. Well, you do a great job. Well, I appreciate you. I'm excited to see what more problems are out there that you could fix.
Yeah,
and I'm excited to see the journey. I appreciate it, man. Thanks so much.
Thank you too.
So.